you know what's really cool is we hear these stories like when our parents first immigrated to America in the 60s and 70s and 80s. There'll always be that New York story where, you know, Khalid uncle was living in New York, and so I came to New York and I stayed at his apartment. And our parents were basically the first people to come and then set up their jobs and their life. I was telling Waj this, in our industry, we were like the first brown people at our jobs. So that was a very unique thing. And so we had that same thing 30 years later where, oh, Sharaf is working at, you know, NBC News.
It was NBC at the time, right.
And, you know, you're doing your playwright thing and I'm doing the comedy. We're the first. And so we had that same sort of like immigrant, we're not married yet.
Yeah.
We all like crash.
Still awkward.
Yeah. Like we're all crashing on the same.
Literally couches.
So that's, to me, that was like really cool that we're doing something our parents did.
But isn't that like, yeah, I mean, in a way heartwarming because like I look back fondly at that and I see Hasan, I'm like the older, hairier brother. And so I see Hasan, I see how much he worked, right? I saw the struggle, the sweat, and I told him in the green room, now we'll talk about this in a second, now he's no longer Hasan Minhaj. He's Hasan Minhaj.
Oh.
There's been a shift. But I knew Hasan when he was Hasan. And I'm going to do a lot of Urdu Desi jokes because you don't get this many brown people in a synagogue, or we got to milk it. I was in Minnesota like 3 weeks ago, right? And there's these young up-and-coming American Muslims who want to get involved in politics. It was really cool. American Muslim Democratic Caucus, and everyone, I mentioned your name in a speech as someone who's like breaking new ground and pushing things forward, and everyone applauded, right? And I did a dant of them. I took a chappal and I threw my chappal at them, right?
He scolded them.
Yeah.
He scolded them.
Because I said, where were you guys 4 years ago and 5 years ago when Hasan was hustling in his banyan and his pajamas, right?
I mean, I was clothed, but
Bina.
But yeah.
Bina. He was banyan and pajamas, am I right? Yes, okay. Sure, fine. Now he's like, Hasan doesn't wear banyan and pajamas. Hasan dresses well. Hasan's in GQ.
I still wear but
it's interesting.
It's comfortable.
But look, there's a shift now. In the last month, there's been a shift. And I could tell you, even within American Muslim communities and in mainstream communities, you are no longer Hasan Minhaj. You are Hasan Minhaj. And how has that shift, because it is a shift, how has that affected you? How are you processing this?
What?
He's like, I thought it was going to be banyan and pajamas.
I know, I was like, we go from banyan.
You got me, Waj.
Now it's really serious. No, it's cool. I think what's awesome is I was lucky enough to get a lot of really cool opportunities, and you know, you try to do the best work you can, you make the most of it, and it's cool. It's very rare. You know, the dinner was one of those things where a lot of times you work really hard and you're on the show, and people obviously knew me from The Daily Show, but the dinner is one of those things where people around the country and around the world watch it. So usually it'll be a person who is really well established, you know. So if you look at the previous years, it's like Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Conan O'Brien, Cecily Strong, people that have their own show, you know. And my name was being thrown around, and I coincidentally got the gig, and it was one of those things where I think it just hit at the right moment.
It's a very humble, self-effacing answer, which we will dig and tear apart very quickly. A very, very good talkie point answer, which is sincere. But look, you leveled up, right? You went from Chapli. You went from Chapli to doing stand-up comedy to the Taco Bell to the MTV show
to Pizza Hut. Come on, man.
Keeping it real. Yeah, against Taco Bell.
I mean, if they want to pay me, I'll do whatever for Taco Bell.
But the Daily Show was a huge level up. And the White House correspondent was like, it took you to the Hasan level, not Hasan anymore.
No, but to me, that's the thing of like, whatever Hasan level, I want to, you know, the goal, and I talk about this in the special, Homecoming King, is the goal is you want to be Hasan Minhaj. That's what it is. It's not like Hasan Minhaj, whatever. And I talk about that, and like, I'm not Hasan Minhaj, I'm Hasan Minhaj. There's a new brown America. And so my goal is to try to make that the norm, that you don't have to edit or truncate your name or whatever, you know?
I'm down with that. I have a